salvation, and happiness. It's your season. It's your time. God has plans for your life to prosper you and to give you hope and a future. Join us and learn how God's love and power can bring hope and happiness to your life. This is your opportunity for motivation, encouragement, and purpose.
Are you ready for motivation, inspiration, and a good time? Get ready for the Tish Barnhardt Show. Real issues, relatable topics, and real people. This is your time to learn how to navigate through life's ups and downs. Get motivated as we open up about personal struggles and triumphs so you can live the incredible life you're destined to live. Just remember, God has plans for your life, plans to give you hope and a future. Victory and breakthrough are just around the corner. Now let's get ready for a brand new segment of the Tish Barnhardt Show.
Welcome to the show, everybody. I am Tish Barnhardt, the host of the Tish Barnhardt Show. Listen, we are super excited that you all have tuned back in with us today for another episode. And listen, we have again with us today, Miss Alicia Torres of the podcast, I Am More Than Enough, period. If you guys saw this show on last week, I'm telling you, she was really sharing some truths here. And so we had to bring her back again today because we simply could not get into everything. And I'm telling you, we got some more today for you. So let's welcome to the show today, Miss Alicia Torres. Alicia, how are you, my friend?
I am great, Tish. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. My pleasure. On last week, we were talking and sharing about pretty much your testimony. I'm telling you, you really had some things that you have endured and that you have gone through. And, you know, from being in foster care to being adopted, of course, by a family. And then in that adoption, you felt like you were a slave, you know, in the family. And I can only imagine, you know, what that would be like to be in a family and not really feel welcomed, you know, in the family. And then we had the bombshell, of course, where you had, in fact, ended up getting pregnant, you know, at 15 or 16, I believe it was. And, you know, upon your parents finding out that you were pregnant, the mom didn't believe you. And then the dad actually tried to sleep with you. Oh, my goodness.
Right.
And so you had a turmoil of things, you know, that happened. And certainly after that, you know, of course, being put out by your mom, you found yourself in the teenage shelter, you know, for young pregnant ladies. And so with that being said, you haven't had that much support. And so I wanted to find out how all of this traumatic situation that has happened to you from childhood, even into your teenagehood and into your adulthood, like, how did that affect you mentally?
Well, Tish, it affected me by I was always searching for love.
Mm-hmm.
Searching for love. Since I didn't get it with my parents or
Mm-hmm.
my adopted parents, I found myself in relationships that I shouldn't have been in.
Okay, right.
So when you go through what I've been through, you're looking for that love anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and also not just like in relationships, but in friendships.
Right.
You you know you're a people pleaser,
Mm-hmm.
so I was just always searching for validation, love, happiness. When my parents kicked me out at um at 16, 17,
Mm-hmm.
like I said in the last episode, I had to go into a pregnant teens shelter.
Mm-hmm.
Once I got out of that, I had my baby there. I had anger.
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of anger, and I was just not the person that you see now. Let me
Right.
just say this.
Mm-hmm.
It has taken a lot of work to get me
Absolutely.
here.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that, I find too, that is difficult for some people to move past, the trauma of the past,
Mhm.
to move past it to where you can see that your future still is bright, that God still has a plan for you. But sometimes that's cloudy because of all of the things that, one has endured. And you
Right.
have so many unanswered questions, you want to know the whys behind why did this happen to me? Why did you do this to me? And so forth. And, it can take a person in a downward spiral,
Mhm.
And so I'm really, really happy, that you were able to make peace with the pieces, And I love taking that little slogan from a book, called Making Peace with Your Pieces. And of course, these co-authors were on my show here, but you had to make peace with your pieces, and those were a lot of pieces, that you had to eventually put together to flourish like you are doing today. So
Yes.
I'm superly excited about that.
Thank you.
So, and not having that support system around you, what do you think really sparked you to venture out here to kind of find yourself and launch into the things that God has placed in you to do?
My kids,
Okay.
they were my biggest blessings,
Mm-hmm.
especially my older two,
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have anyone. I didn't
Right.
have uncles. I didn't have cousins. I didn't have aunts. I didn't have anyone. So my
Mm-hmm.
kids, they only had me.
Right.
So I couldn't give up.
Wow. Wow.
Many
Wow.
times I wanted to, but I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I gave up, who's going to take care of my kids?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad that you had that, with your kids, because
Yeah,
sometimes even, those that have kids, they want to be there for them, but sometimes the trauma and the issues, of life that they're going through, some of them just can't handle it. And
right.
so I'm really glad that, you found the power within to be able to surpass that for your children and be here for your children, because if you weren't, who else would? Because you didn't
Right.
have the family, support system, you were kicked out and no longer really welcomed in that family. So I'm so grateful that you were able to endure past that. So listen, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break and we will be back in a moment.
Yeah, I know. Wait, I don't know. Yeah, look at it. So
There's nothing better than being inspired and renewed daily by the power of God. In Morning Tea with the King, author Tish Barnhardt shares inspiration through a 90-day devotional that will rejuvenate your mind with scripture and your body with daily suggested herbal teas. You'll begin to see that every experience brings about a different perspective on how to view the things that are happening in our lives as we continue on our journey. Available at Amazon, your local bookstore, or at trilogy.tv.
Looking for fun, laughter, and the best show on television that supports historically black colleges and universities? Well, look no further. The HBCU Alumni House Party has got you covered. Hosted by none other than Anthony Brown. The HBCU Alumni House Party uplifts, talks about, and reports all things HBCU. Great guests, great subject matter, and lots of fun. You can find the HBCU Alumni House Party on the Daily Gospel Network at 6:30 p.m. on Sundays, the Daily Gospel Network International Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, and the Daily Gospel Network Plus at 4:30 p.m. on Thursdays, all on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.
Part-time job, full-time hustle, all-time Shiro to all of us. You nurture, we listen. You teach, we thrive. You lift our spirits, but we've got to lay down the truth. It's time for you, our Shiro, to stretch for the stars. A free online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Start saving more for retirement so you can feel prepared and live your life to the fullest. Visit aceyourretirement.org.
Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. We are talking with Alicia Torres, who is the host of the podcast, I Am More Than Enough, period. And so, if you've been listening to us on last week and also today here, I'm telling you, this woman has a powerful, powerful testimony that I am certain is going to bless many of you that are listening. And so, before we went to the commercial break, you were talking about how not having the support system, affected you really mentally, and especially with all of the trauma and things that you went through. And so I know that as you and I were talking, before, you had mentioned, how your spiritual journey has really, really helped you. Could you talk to us a little bit about your spiritual journey and what that has entailed for you?
Okay. I went through my spiritual journey starting in 2015
Mm-hmm.
because I had to say enough is enough. I just
Right.
gotten a divorce, and I was saying to myself, it can't be these men. I played
Mm-hmm.
a part of my decisions that I was making,
Mm-hmm.
and the men that I was picking. So I
Okay.
started
Mm-hmm.
my spiritual journey um, with self care and self love. That's when
Mm-hmm.
I discovered that I really didn't love myself.
Wow. Wow. So, what do you
So,
mean by that? You really didn't love yourself. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
well, I felt that I was picking men the same as me, such as
Okay.
men that were going through or went through the same things as a
Mm-hmm.
youngster. Maybe not this exactly the same, but
Mm-hmm.
somewhat.
Okay.
And I discovered that I had abandonment issues,
Mm-hmm.
self worth. I didn't have self worth, and these are all things that was in me because of my childhood and my past.
Mm-hmm.
But I
Mm-hmm.
never thought about it until 2015, and I really was working on myself, and still, I'm still working on myself, and
Mm-hmm.
things are coming out that I'm discovering and realizing that I need work. I need to heal.
Right. Wow, wow. Well, you know what? I am super happy, that you are actually sharing this with us because, oftentimes we don't really take that self inventory. We don't take a look within, to kind of see the parts that we've played, as well as, seeing the need for our own personal development, and seeing the things that were in our past that we haven't fully healed from, that we have taken into our friendships and relationships, and it has suffered, because of those things. And so sometimes we are reacting, to those particular persons or individuals because of the things that we've experienced. And so they're paying for all of the pain, that we've gone through in times past. And so I'm so glad that you mentioned that today because personal development, self care, and self love, that is all important. And it is mutually important for us to certainly take self inventory and see, the things that we can correct, in life. And so I am so grateful that you mentioned that today. And so, on that note, I want to talk to us about something else. And you mentioned that there was something that was going on with you that no one would ever know. And when I met you, I had absolutely no idea until you
Yeah.
told me. And so, can you share with our audience today what is going on with you that no one knows about?
Yes. A year and a half ago, I lost my vision. I lost my vision in my right eye, and I
Mm-hmm.
have 60% vision in my left eye.
Mm-hmm.
This happened 2 days before my 48th birthday.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, wow. So like what were you doing when that happened? Like, I mean, did it just all of a sudden just go blind in that eye? Like what happened?
So 2 weeks before this happened, my eyes were blurry,
Mm-hmm.
but I was working a lot. So
Okay.
I just thought, and not really sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that I needed rest. I was doing home care. I finished my shift. All of a sudden, my right eye went black.
Wow.
I couldn't see anything.
Mm-mm-mm.
I went to the emergency room and I was there for hours and hours. And then the doctor came back and told me that I have a detached retina.
Oh wow. Mm-mm-mm. I know that had to have been a scary thing, at that moment, doing whatever you're doing. And then all of a sudden, this blackness, appears to where you can't see out of this one eye. So tell us, like, at the moment that that happened, like, what were you thinking? Like what was going on in your mind at the time?
I was scared. Um, but funny enough, I still was like, I could shake it off.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't hit me um, until I was in the hospital. And they
Mm-hmm.
came back and told me it was a detached retina. They actually had to transfer me to another hospital
Mm-hmm.
where they deal with eye problems.
Okay.
And that's when it hit me. But still, I still didn't believe it.
Okay.
Hmm. Even though
Okay.
I couldn't see from my right eye, um, I still didn't believe it. It's a blur.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Wow, wow, wow. Girl, I can only imagine, what that would have been like, to, like I said, be doing what you're doing and then all of a sudden, not having the ability of, one of your eyes, and I'm telling you, I'm sure all types of thoughts, would go through one's mind, in terms of, am I going to be totally blind? Like, is it going to happen to the next eye? Like, what is going on here? And, of course, you, I think, had a couple of the signs earlier with
Hmm.
the blurriness and different things for those 2 weeks. But of course, like you said, you're working all the time. And,
Right.
many of us work from home and work or at offices, and we're in front of computers all day long. And that glare and everything from that, it can cause a person's eyes to become blurry and so forth. And so, not knowing that you had a detached retina.
Right.
Wow. And so we're going to talk more about this. We're going to go ahead and take another commercial break, and we'll be right back in a moment. For those of us raised in the church, the life of a first lady looks glamorous. She is always out front with her husband, and people admire her in every way imaginable. The notoriety, fame, and fortune of these men can be intoxicating to those who do not have it, and some will do anything to achieve it. Little do they know that the real life of a first lady is far from perfect. Pre-order your copy today at www.tishbarnhardt.com.
Looking for inspiration, motivation, and the good news of Jesus Christ? Look no further. The Daily Gospel Network has what you need. With more than 300 ministries from all over the country broadcasting every week, you're sure to get your dose of spirit-filled encouragement from the great programs on the Daily Gospel Network. Catch the Daily Gospel Network on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, all mobile devices, and the internet.
My graduation was something I will never forget. People like you and me sometimes may have doubts in yourself, but I feel that everything's possible.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
Welcome back, everybody, to the show. Listen, we have been talking with Alicia Torres, the host of I Am More Than Enough, period. And so before we went to a commercial break, she told us about her disability, where she lost, you guys, her sight in one of her eyes. And certainly we've been talking to her all this time, and I'm sure you guys could not tell, because when I met her, I had no idea that she could not see out of one of these eyes. I'm telling you, God is certainly good. And so, Alicia, I wanted to ask you a question. So, as you found this news out, and everything, I know you said that you didn't believe it. You were not trying to receive it, and clearly, we can tell that you have really weathered through this, really, really well. So when you were there, was there downtime that you had? How did you adjust to not being able to see now out of the side?
Well, in the beginning, when I found out, and I have had numerous surgeries on both eyes, but especially on the right eye.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't work. I can't work like how I used to. There's a lot of things I couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
When this first happened, I was scared. I
Mm-hmm.
was a scared puppy. I didn't want to
Yeah.
do anything. My youngest was 17 at the time, and,
Mm-hmm.
and she had to set me up before she went to school. Um, she had to go to work to bring funds in and cook
Mm-hmm.
because I couldn't do it.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
But one
Wow.
day I just decided that I'm going to do this by myself. I'm not
Okay.
one to have people help me. I've been in the healthcare for 30 years. I always
Mm-hmm.
helped other people. I never have
Right.
anybody help me, and I couldn't receive that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started doing things on my own, and started listening to the doctors. Whatever doctor's appointments I had, I went. Little by
Mm-hmm.
little, I started memorizing where everything was,
Mm-hmm.
because my daughter had to set everything up for me.
Uh-huh.
And for her, as a 17-year-old, last year of school, she was going through her teenage stuff. Now,
Mm-hmm.
now the roles were turned. She had to
Right.
take care of me, and I wanted to do things myself. So I just started working on me.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Wow, wow. I know that that had to be, an adjustment, obviously,
Yes.
to have to make. And then certainly, you've raised your daughter and done many things, of course, for her. And then, of course, at this point now, it's like she has to help you.
Yes.
And so, of course, as parents, we don't want, our children to have to do things for us. We
Mhm.
want to, remain, independent. We don't
Right.
want to feel like we can't do things for ourselves. And so, I commend you for, how you maneuvered through this process, because looking at you, I certainly cannot tell, and certainly talking with you, I definitely cannot tell that, there is a slight disability, of course, that you have. And so you're not wearing glasses or bifocals or, anything like that. And so, I mean, you are beautiful, and, you just cannot tell at all. So I'm definitely happy to hear that. Now, did it take you a while though to begin to maneuver around on your own, or how long did that take you before you started trying to just do things by yourself?
It took me about 3 months to
Okay.
snap out of it, because I
Mm-hmm.
found myself, I was being a victim.
Okay.
I started feeling sorry for myself. And
Mm-hmm.
and if I wanted to go to the store, I was waiting for my daughter, to help me. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like that.
Right.
one day I just said, I'm going to the store. And I went to the store by myself. And it was the most proudest moment of my life because I did it.
Wow. 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 Yeah. And you know what? You did. You did it. You did it against all odds, because I don't know how many people would, chance trying to go out there, with an inability to see out of one, eye and everything. So I can just, like I said, only imagine what that's like, but I know that, of course, your other eye, kind of compensated for some things, but certainly, not like having both usages of both of them, so most definitely there. So listen, it has been a pleasure, sharing with you again today. Thank you so much for being so open to us here at the Tish Barnhardt Show and being so relatable and transparent. That's definitely what we love. And so I know that you definitely have helped some people today here. And so Alicia, if there was one thing that you could leave with our listening and viewing audience today, what would that be?
I always say that you are not your disability.
Wow. That is awesome. Did you guys hear that? You are not your disability. I love that. I absolutely love that. You are not your disability. So listen, thank you so much again, Alicia, for tuning in with us today and being on the show. And listen, you guys, thank you for tuning in with us. And I want you to come back next week for another episode of the Tish Barnhardt Show. Listen, I want you guys to follow us on Facebook. We've started streaming these shows, of course, to Facebook. I want you to like and share, and then also follow us on YouTube as well, you guys. Help us to get our following up and our viewers up. We appreciate all that you guys do. And thanks again for listening to us. We'll see you again next time. Bye now.
Bye.
Looking for inspiration, motivation, and the good news of Jesus Christ? Look no further. The Daily Gospel Network has what you need. With more than 300 ministries from all over the country broadcasting every week, you're sure to get your dose of spirit-filled encouragement from the great programs on the Daily Gospel Network. Catch the Daily Gospel Network on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, all mobile devices, and the internet.
Thanks for tuning in to the Tish Barnhardt Show. We pray that you were motivated, inspired, and blessed. Tune in next week for another great segment as we bring you thought-provoking topics, great guests, and tons of encouragement. Until next time, remember, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.